Barcelona are back in the Champions League with a bang. It was a 6-goal thriller that needed 4 goals from the Blaugrana to overcome Slavia Prague on the night. Now with 13 points and 1 game to go in the group stages, Barcelona might just make it into a top 8 finish. But how well did this team perform, and are they ready to once again triumph in Europe's elite competition? In this video, we are going to analyse the tactics and the big moments that decided this game, and to start things off, let's talk about the lineups and formations. So Barcelona started in the usual 4-2-3-1 with the surprise inclusion of Gerard Martin ahead of Kubasi in defence. In attack, however, Hansi Flick opted to go with a front three of Rafinha, Lewandowski and Rooney Bargi, leaving Rashford on the bench. Now Slavia Prague on the other hand went with a 3-5-2 instead of the usual 3-4-3, so it was quite clear they wanted to stop Barcelona's build-up through the middle and down the flanks. They'd go on a man-to-man press high up the pitch for most of the game, and honestly, it was working. Moses was doing a great job man-marking Pedri and keeping him out of the game, so most of our build-up from the back had to come through Frenkie de Jong. Barcelona struggled to find their rhythm, and within the first 10 minutes we conceded the first goal of the game. It was another cheap goal from a simple corner kick. First, look at Balde as the corner kick is about to be played. He's the one marking Thomas Holes, who eventually makes the assist. We talked about this lackadaisical approach of the ball. They just can't be bothered to really work hard to defend. They can't. Balde is on his man, and then as soon as the corner is played, he sees the player running towards the near post, and for some reason he chooses to drop off. There's no pressure on the man on the ball. He's allowed a free header out to the far post, catches the entire defense off guard. Frenkie de Jong doesn't get his bearings right, and then the ball is bundled into the back of the net. You think about the first goal we conceded against Chelsea, and it's almost the exact replica. Once there's any sort of pressure in the box, we get confused and give up a goal. You think of teams like Arsenal, Bayern, Liverpool, teams that are physical against this Barcelona side, I'm honestly concerned. Now guys, one thing this game has confirmed to us is this. To play in this Hansi Flick system, you need a sharpshooter in the number 10 position. Something that Thomas Müller used to do for him at Bayern. In this Barcelona, it's Dani Olmo or Fermín. If you give these two guys any sight on goal, they will punish you. And they did this all game long, but to demonstrate this, let's look at a couple of goals. Now remember we said Slavia were adopting a man-marking system when defending. This meant they kept letting Eric Garcia be the free man in our build-up. Now in the 28th minute, the first warning sign came with this brilliant shot that the goalkeeper manages to tip over the crossbar. But they failed to learn their lesson, so eventually Barcelona punished them. Again, it starts off from letting Eric Garcia come forward with so much space and time on the ball. He picks out Rafinha with this pass, but look when Rafinha runs to receive the pass, he takes the Prague defender along with him, which then opens up a gap behind him. But take nothing away from this brilliant flick from Rafinha to find Frenkie. This right there was the playmaker, or the pre-assist if you like. The defender realises the space that he's left behind, but it's too late because Fermín is already making the run in behind. Frenkie de Jong spots the run, plays Fermín in, and that is what a sharpshooter does. He doesn't think about it. Generates enough power and accuracy on the shot, gives the goalkeeper no time to react, ball goes in the back of the net, Barcelona get the equaliser. But Fermín wasn't done with shooting practice, because just 8 minutes after his first, he doubles Barcelona's lead with an even better strike. Now it starts from what seemed like a regular attack, but this was the key moment for me. You see, when Rooney cuts back on his left foot, the space in the middle appears. Now this is where timing is important, because gaps open and close quickly in football as players move around the pitch. As soon as this gap opens up down the middle, he wastes no time in playing the pass to Pedri. Now we will see another example of this later in this video, but look when that ball gets to Pedri, he doesn't go to his left immediately because that would be too obvious, not Pedri. He wants to draw Moses out to create another gap in behind. And it works, because as soon as Moses makes the press, Pedri turns quickly and now there's room for Fermín to shoot. Moses would have been the one to close Fermín down if Pedri had played the pass earlier. Now Fermín has got all the space and time to shoot. The defensive shape now has to break in order to close him down. They tried to step out, but it's too late. The damage had already been done. Fermín pulls the trigger, great strike into the bottom left. Goalkeeper's got no chance of saving that. This boy is a star. I mean, look at Hansi Flick showing how much he appreciated him with this hug on the sidelines. This is how you reward your coach for putting his faith in you. Okay, before we get back to the shooting, I want to address another blip in the defense. It's Barcelona after all, we cannot be surprised by this anymore. Just like we saw against Real Sociedad, again just 2 minutes after we score, Barcelona concede at the other end. It was actually comical, another goal conceded from a corner kick. Again, the lack of coordination, communication or leadership in defense is apparent. Look when the corner is about to be played. We already conceded with the flick from the near post. Common sense would suggest that this time, that would be the very thing we'd try to avoid. Not these players, we've actually got 2 of them standing right there. They let the ball go all the way through, and I know it comes off Lewandowski in the end for an own goal, and maybe he should have had his head up so he's able to judge the flight of the ball, but it's just a lack of coordination for me. There's no communication. Lewandowski is fuming at someone when he really should be fuming at himself. But he does get a chance to redeem himself eventually in a goal that revealed something interesting. But before we get to that, let's talk about this man right here. Okay, so we came back in the second half with a clear plan. More of the same in attack, but keep it tighter at the back. And the latter at least was working because Slavia had only 1 corner for the rest of the game. So we did tidy things up in defense, but it was the attack that needed a bit more urgency. Barça, Lewandowski and Rafinha weren't having the best of games, so Hansi Flick decided it was time for a change. So on comes Dani Olmo for Pedri and Marcus Rashford for Barça. And we'll talk about Pedri in a bit, but my word, Dani Olmo is the most confusing player to analyse. One game is having a nightmare and the next is absolutely world class. I just can't keep up. 63rd minute, it's another beauty of a goal just like we saw against Espanyol. We spoke about these 2 being the sharpshooters in the team and that's exactly what happens again. It starts off with this chance from the shot from Lewandowski that the goalkeeper manages to keep out. But Lewandowski does well on the follow-up to keep the ball in play so Barcelona are able to relaunch another attack. Lovely switch from Rashford to Koundé leads to a cross that eventually falls kindly for Dani Olmo. But this guy just loves to score worldies because he gets an easy chance, he's happy to miss those, but you see them difficult ones that no one else even thinks to take on. That's where Dani Olmo shines. Just like Fermín in the first half, he doesn't even think. Straight shot into the top corner. Are you joking me? You cannot save that. I'm so sorry. Barcelona are back in the lead. 3-2. Okay guys, how many times have we seen these 2 combine already this season? Somehow it just seems like them 2 are just suited for each other, yet Hansi Flick doesn't like to use them together. Well, tonight he did. And I know I've been a little bit critical of Rashford lately, but this was brilliant football and intelligence for the assist. From the run into the space, look where he starts to run, it's right from his own half. He's actually pointing to show Balde exactly where he wants the ball to go. And Balde does well to find him with this through ball. But look at the brilliance from Rashford. He's had to look over his shoulder. He knows exactly where Lewandowski is. So he fakes the defender one way, and that for me is the move that gets the goal. It's the shake-off of the defender to create a yard for himself to be able to drive the low cross through. It was so good, it sort of even catches Lewandowski by surprise. He's able to recover and get to the ball before the goalkeeper volleys it into the back of the net. Barcelona double the advantage. Game over. Now guys, I do want to take some time to talk about a few players, and number 1 for me is Frenkie de Jong. I think this game, along with the Super Cup final against Real Madrid, are my top picks for Frenkie this season. That game, he did end up getting sent off. This one, he only gets a yellow card, which to be fair, might come back to haunt us in the future, as he will now miss the final group stage game against Copenhagen at the Camp Nou. Now, with Pedri possibly out injured as well, this is a bit of a worry, but I suppose we will cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, Frenkie had a brilliant performance. His assist for Fermín's equaliser, his all-round play, I thought he was actually the better of the 2 pivots in this game, and that says a lot. Okay, next for me, of course, is Fermín López. Guys, this guy by far is our most improved player of the season. And I actually said this in one of my first videos on the channel when we thought he was going to Chelsea, that this guy would have a big season. And he's living up to every bit of the hype. I mean, how many world-class goals has he already scored in the Champions League alone, the biggest stage of them all? His shooting is right up there with the best in the world right now. And then his passing, his tenacity and pressing, perfect example of a Hansi Flick player. And Hansi Flick did well to acknowledge it on the night. Okay guys, I'm not going to bore you to death with my own voice. It's time for you to drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Tell me what you thought of this performance. How are we feeling about our hopes in the Champions League? I'll be back here discussing the game against Real Oviedo this weekend, so if you aren't subscribed, make sure you are so you don't miss that when it drops. Until then guys, celebrate the win, see you soon, and Visca El Barça.